At least never heard an FU again ever when we started, from the day we started. And instead of, I'm doing what I want, she would call, Tati, I'm stuck in Brooklyn, can you come get me? It's 2 a.m. and the train's not running. And he would go. But what a difference where I'm doing what I want, you can't come, until Tati, like, can you come get me? You know, like, that changed really, like, extremely quickly. But what a difference. It was just by stopping the fight. Like, before we even really started doing anything, it stopped the fight. Like, just starting TP was like just understanding the whole thing is about the relationship and she needs her parents.
We had a daughter who was 15 at the time, and she was giving us a lot of a run for our money with a lot of frustration. You know, I'm sure
hanging out in the park, there was drugs, there was
right.
Cursing and being in places she shouldn't be.
Right. Basically
cursing you.
Cursing us, yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, basically, like if you tried to, do normal parenting of, having some boundaries or some kind of rules or some kind of
sneaking out of the house.
Like, look, you have your job. I remember saying things like, your job now. My job is I go to work and sell insurance, and that's what I do every day. Everyone has to have a job. Your job is, you're 15. Your job is to go to school and do this, like, whatever the normal type of stuff. And no, you cannot go on a train by yourself to Manhattan at the middle of the night or whatever going on. But basically, so then it would be, you get a text message, WhatsApp basically, saying, showing a location, showing here I am, you can't do anything about it, and F you, basically, more or less. And there would be a lot of cursing, like, so if it was like, sometimes it'd be like 100 times the same, the same message.
Even violence. She was violent.
And
we
violence
called
also,
we were told to call Shomer. Like,
right,
the psychologist said, call Shomer. Instead, so that teach her a lesson. The whole thing it was a disaster.
Yeah, it was very
disaster. She had a psychologist, and the psychologist said, like, if there's an issue, if she's threatening the family, or if she's threatening, you should call. Did they say call it Salah? Call it Salah. Sorry, not Shomer. We called it Salah. So we did it. We called it Salah. I think they even put a call in to say we might call, and we called, and they came, and it was, my husband was literally on the floor with her wrestling. It was terrible. And they came, and they tried to calm her down, and it was just a disaster.
Basically, we tried a lot of things that every parent should try, or does try, I'm sure. Psychologists, we heard about these psychologists in Brooklyn. We went to try those.
Oh, we tried a few.
So a couple of women.
I can't, yeah.
We went to psychologists where we live. We went to, trying to get advice about how to deal with a child like this. We would say things like, I remember you mentioned, we said things like, look, my goal is that the child, that my daughter should be like a normal functioning member of society. If she doesn't like me, fine, but she can't be like, going crazy and doing things and breaking things and whatever's happening. That kind of stuff and it was so like, I guess like I would say almost like out of character, because she was always.
Yeah, she was very sweet. She really was.
She was always like the best kid,
always
as far
with
as
a
like
smile.
the most like mothering instincts towards her younger siblings and stuff like that. And later she like hated them all. She would say like, whatever, she doesn't want them. Okay, chas v'shalom. So basically, like different therapists spoke to different rabbis. A Rav told us not too long before we got to TP. A Rav told us, kick her out of the house. Like basically,
I was ready to kick her out. That's where I was holding. I was like, after the Pesach incident, I was like, we have to get her out of here. And we called a Rav, and he told us to call their people. And then somebody heard what happened, and they approached my husband about TP, and he said, let's try this first.
Probably like
months,
a year, probably a good year and a half before we found our way to TP to trying to deal with this. Like it was progressively getting worse.
Right. Yeah. I was really ready to kick her out.
Right,
That's where I was holding. I'm like, how do we get her out of the house?
Right. Like it's
how do we get her out without really putting her on the street? And that was really where I was holding.
Yeah, it's like that kind of stuff. Like basically
right before, and we even spoke to a Rav who told us, yeah, you should kick her out. And then my husband, well, how do you kick a 15-year-old out? And whatever, he spoke about it. And after TP, he actually got in touch with that Rav and said, like, whoa, like, what about this TP? And then the Rav said, you know what, I've heard about it, and now I send people there. And I apologize for telling you to kick her out.
Yeah, he did. He said it was like, he asked what the time frame was when I had asked him the Shaila about it, or asked him advice about it, whatever. And he said at the time it was probably like 6 months before he, found out about TP, and that then later he sent people to TP, and he was, impressed. Right. So basically, I guess like like when things got really, really crazy was Pesach. She was 15. Yeah, she was 15. Yeah, she was 15 years old. It was Pesach, and.
I was nervous about her going to the Pesach kitchen. We were nervous about her going to the Pesach kitchen. Yeah. She wasn't keeping Shabbos. I didn't know what she was going to do. So we had an extra lock on the Pesach kitchen that only I gave to my older daughter so she can get in and out, because she did all the cooking that year. So Dina was furious. She was so furious because she wanted food, and you're not getting me food fast enough. The Seder lasts too long, and she wanted food. I want food. And it was a disaster. We wouldn't let her in the kitchen, and then I don't know. She got into the kitchen or whatever it was. She threw food. All the food that our other daughter made, she threw it on the floor. It was terrible. And then she was trying to get into the chametz kitchen. She's like, I'm going to get. I don't remember what she was going to get, but she was trying to get into the chametz kitchen. So we locked the door. My husband literally sat in front of the chametz kitchen so she wouldn't go in, like with a pillow, so he would go to sleep in front of it. And Dina was blasting music. She just blared music the whole night. She turned the music on. Oh, that was after she turned out all the lights in the house and all the candles. So it was dark on Pesach. So it was totally dark. I couldn't finish the Seder. I couldn't finish it without seeing. Like, it was a disaster. It was really a disaster. And the next day I was speaking to people, and that was when I was like, okay, she's got to go. Like, this is crazy.
She said like she was going to hummus the house. Yeah, basically, right. That's why she was trying to get into the hummus kitchen.
It was all about her anger at us, and that we didn't trust her to go in the Pesach kitchen. I mean, that's what it was about. Yeah. That's why she was so angry. We didn't trust her to go in the kitchen to take food for herself. I mean, any other year, even though she wasn't keeping kosher and she wasn't keeping Shabbos, okay, we treated her as if, and there was no issue. She never tried to give treif to any of the kids. She never tried to treif up anything. Actually, one time she put something by accident that wasn't chalvas in the oven, and she told us, and we called it but she was so angry at us because we didn't trust her that then she was angry, and then she was gonna treif up. But after that, she never did it again. After TP, she would go into the Pesach kitchen and take whatever, and we trusted her, and I was never worried about her bringing chametz anywhere. It was just it was a shift because we shifted. She also shifted. We trusted her, and then she was trustworthy.
Dina was seeing a therapist one-on-one, and they talk about like rules
boundaries.
And was there contracts? Probably.
I don't remember having a contract.
Vaguely remember. I do vaguely remember some contracts. Your office was in the little room.
Oh, yeah.
I remember a contract posted on the bulletin board. Yeah,
there was a contract.
Yeah, there's contracts and rules and things like that, which makes sense. Parents, kids, rules, boundaries.
But it doesn't work.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. It's logical, but it doesn't work.
But so like the therapist
just escalated.
It just escalated. It was not helping. It was making it worse actually over time.
No one was able to figure a way out to help us to not escalate the situation to make it worse. It was just getting worse and worse, and nobody was able to tell us how to take it down. In fact, all the thing about calling Hatzalah, whatever, it just escalated it. it just made it worse. Literally, there was a time where I had to take all of our pictures away because she was taking a Sharpie and trying to Sharpie herself out of pictures. And actually, ironically, later she took the exact opposite. She took after TP. There was a time where she. Now, not on the real picture, but like on a WhatsApp, she took everybody else out and just had me, her, and my husband. Like that's it, you know, like that. She's instead of the opposite where she blotted herself out. It was a nightmare for our family before TP. It was really a nightmare. We were on eggshells. She would run to the park. Sometimes we would have the boys follow her to the park. What's she doing? Where's she going? She would sneak out of the house. She would go who knows where. She went to Muncie. She went to, I didn't even know, we didn't know what she was doing. And everyone was a little bit concerned about it. When our son, I wish I had TP mind back then. When our son Ellie was born, she was so angry. She called us, I want pizza. And we're like, I just had a baby. Like, I literally had a baby like an hour before. I can't get you pizza right now. Like, you have to, like, you're so selfish. But now with TP eyes, it would have been like, just get her the pizza. Like, she would have been fine. During the Shalom Zachar, we realized she was missing. We couldn't find her. She had gone to the park. It was just everyone. Actually, I knew because my older daughter came and said, "Where's Dina?" Like, she's not here, you know. So it just put everyone on edge. Everyone was nervous, and there was some violence and throwing things, and it was not good. Afterwards,
some broken furniture.
What? Broken furniture, broken glass.
She's strong for a 15-year-old.
Yeah. You were literally wrestling with her on the floor. Oh, it was terrible. It was scary. It was scary for the little kids. They remember it. They remember Pesach.
It's traumatic.
They even remember Pesach and how her throwing food and
that's traumatic for young kids to see their sibling fighting with the parents so much or being so out of control. So it's not.
And us too, screaming and
it's not good.
It was not good for the family. And afterwards, it definitely, everyone had a relationship with her. And the baby that she hated, that she was so angry about, became her best friend, like really became her pet. He would hang out with her. In fact, one time she showed us, she took a video. I didn't hear him crying, and her bedroom must be underneath his. And she showed us that she took him out of his crib and she gave him pizza. They hung out in the middle of the night. They were hanging out, and she loved him. She loved him. She would take him to the park with her friends, and they would go to the music in the park, and she really
also remember she would take Batsheva with a stroller on the bus. She took to the mall. She went to the mall.
She would take one of the other one, the 2-year-old, to the next one up. The next one up. So
she was like two. So she would take like her 2-year-old sibling that basically, like I said, I don't want to say, but basically like she said that she was going to kill these kids, basically, like for real. Like she really.
Yeah, she was
before
very violent.
TP.
Like her words were violent.
Before TP, she would say like basically she's going to
burn the house down. Like she said,
she's going to kill her siblings,
things.
like stuff like that, which was very
disconcerting.
I mean, you see things in the news, you think like.
Right, it was very scary.
Yeah, that's why. That really is why. Like the idea was, like, really, it's better to have someone not in the house than to have them in the house if you really feel that if it's a possibility, it's
for violence.
It's for violence, sure. And you don't want to believe it, but you don't know. Like, what if, God forbid, something could happen. So,
right.
I don't think that was ever going to really happen, but
Right, but yeah, we were.
But either
concerned.
way, basically. If you say that, right? If you said that, like, that's it. Like, you have to take it serious.
After TP, she had a great relationship with everybody. Like, not perfect, but very good. In fact, she took my boys to. She would take them to camp. Like, she was the one that drove them to their campus, and the little kids for sure. The little kids, she would bathe. Yeah, she was actually the one that would give them baths for sure. From the first day we came into TP. Literally from the first day, what it did was take away the fight. Like we calmed down. We said we changed completely. Yeah. I mean, it was harder for me to change, but we both, we just took away the fight. Just taking away the fight changed everything. It went from blank you, she never sent it again, ever, ever, never. We just didn't fight with her. So just taking that away made it just a more calm place. The whole place was calm. And then by accepting her and saying we're sorry for hurting her and giving her the gifts. I mean, actually, the picture of the first gifts we gave her, she was very like she was, it was like she wasn't like, maybe she didn't trust us, but I remember when we gave her that iPhone 8, she was, what a smile. She was so happy. And I don't know if who gave it to her, like we gave it to her together, but before TP, I smashed her phone. I took her phone and I smashed it. Well, I was so mad about the phone and getting in the park, whatever it was. I took her phone and I smashed it. And that was, she was not happy. I don't remember what happened after that, but she was not happy. But that was, and part of it was like just showing that we trust you here. I took the phone from you and here it is. Here's a better phone. And you know what, yeah.
I call it taking the knife out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We took the knife out by giving her the phone, and that was I have those pictures. She was really
You got
happy. Yeah, for sure. And the gifts and stuff, like she liked it. You know, I mean, it was nice, and we also did it for the other kids, not to the same extent, and not everything was big. Sometimes I would get her Dollar Tree stuff and leave a little gift or gloves or something, you know. There wasn't always huge things, but the big, you know, those big things were big, but it definitely helped. I mean, just taking the fight and understanding that she's in pain. Just understanding that she's in pain took away so much of our anger. Like, oh, she's not trying to, like, she's in pain. Okay. And understanding that she's in pain made it easier. But the truth is, it really got much, much better after that. Not perfect, but much, much better. It just got so much better. And then she was able to have a relationship with everybody. So then everyone had their relationship with her. And because the kids came to the TP training for families, so all the kids were on board. And I forgot to say, before TP, she was also cutting. It was really bad. Like, you know, I forget how bad it was. After TP, she was not doing that anymore because she wasn't angry. She just wasn't as angry. She was still in pain, but now she had her family. She had her parents, she had her siblings, and she had a relationship with them. And the boys, actually, my two boys went to the thing for the boys' siblings, and my older daughter went for the girls. And I think that was also helpful. It was helpful for them to be there, to have support from other people, and they were good. They were pretty good. They also would buy her gifts sometimes for her birthday or for other things. They would try, you know.
When things were out of control, you really start to think like, is there like a mental illness issue? I remember one time we were driving on the Southern State Parkway. I think we were going out to my mother's house to go swimming, and she was like fighting with kids in the back, and I just basically. I pulled the vehicle over and I said, I'm taking you to a hospital. I'm taking you to South Nassau. There's a psych ward there, I know, because I had to visit somebody once there. I said, I'm taking you there, and that's it. I said, either you act normal or like you can't. I said, you're 14, 15, whatever age she was at the time. I said, you're dealing with a little kid. I don't remember which kid it was or what the fight was about. I said, this is not normal behavior. It was like really crazy stuff. Once we went through the training and once we changed our mindsets, or I would say my wife kind of changed her mindset. I think maybe my mindset was I always kind of have like more of a chesed personality, I guess. So I would say maybe I was validated by certain stuff in TP, like kind of like my natural instinct would be not to be so harsh. Well, or just get her to live put her in a home with other girls that have problems. I thought there was a place somewhere upstate. I heard, I don't know, some kind of something like there's got to be some. Yeah. Like
dreamed of how to de-escalate.
Yeah. Right.
So then, like, once we started, like, really, you know, the de-escalation stuff, which is basically being nice to her. You know,
right. It's so simple. It's like sad. Like, how come? It's really, in a way, it's so simple. Just be nice. Just accept her. But it has to be real. Like, one thing is it has to be real. Yeah. You can't just say like, oh, I really accept you. But really, I can't wait till you do A, B, and C. Like, it has, and they know if it's real or not. Like, it has to be real acceptance. We really accept you for who you are right now. Not, oh, this is what we're just doing on the side, but we really want you to be this way. No, like, we really accepted her. And we appreciated her and the things that she was able to do. And it is so simple, but yet it's so... Yeah, it's funny how simple it really is, but that it's I mean, not that TP is easy. It's not easy, but it's simple.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
But basically,
not always easy.
I would say like the turnaround, like I think I've said before, the like using language like a drunken sailor type language previously, and literally like literally as soon as we started with TP, like never hearing a curse word, or maybe once, maybe it could be maybe at a third, maybe about somebody else or something else, you know, maybe, but not to me, not at all, never, ever that I could recall, and basically, like really like a major shift, and as far as knowing that, basically going then from that to, I need like one time I remember she was she was coming back from somewhere, Brooklyn, friends, whatever was happening. But basically, she ended up at Atlantic Terminal in Brooklyn like at 2 a.m, and the train was not going to be for another 2 hours. So, what do you do at 2 a.m? I guess if it's pre-TP, you would probably think you're going to ask some stranger for a ride. I don't know what she would have done. God forbid. But like she knew that she can call me, and I would go, and I did. I went, picked her up. I think stopped at someplace on the way. She wanted some food somewhere along the way. I didn't go in, but basically, or maybe it was takeout. I don't know, whatever it was. But basically, that kind of shift, like where knowing that she could rely on her parents, and that her parents had her back. Her parents loved her. Her family loved her at that point, and it really was like, it's really like it was like flipping a switch. It's like flipping a switch. The difference was like, it's like you found a medication that you have this back pain and it's terrible, and then all of a sudden you find some medication like finally this thing works. There was no prescription drugs involved as far as her change of behavior.
Yeah.
It was basically
miraculous.
It was
in
basically
a way. It seems miraculous.
It does seem
some
miraculous.
ways,
Yeah, it does seem miraculous. It really was very radical, and that's
right.
That's why we're speaking here, because
right.
I don't want to do this, but I think it's important, like, to help other people, like, kind of to hear, to hear about it.
It's such a game changer. It really is. It's so simple, and it's a game changer. It really, for me, especially much more than my husband, who it comes naturally to him, but it was really a game changer. Like, just the whole, this is what she needs. Like, she needs the softness. And by the way, it helped my other kids also, because I could accept them for who they are also. For me, it was a game changer because I was able to give to my other kids and be more giving to everybody, for everyone. I think everyone benefited, whether they realized it or not. But all my kids really benefited from just the change in our attitude. I think so. Even her tattoo, by the way, which she did get, said "family is everything," which is like, interesting that's what she chose to tattoo on her body.
Right. Yeah. It's
could have been worse.
True. Right. Could have said the things that she used to send me the text.
Right. Who knows what could have been.
Yeah. That was frustrating, because you always hope like that the kid is.
The tattoos are frustrating because it's so permanent.
Tattoo,
so permanent.
Yeah.
The piercings. I mean, she only really had one piercing, and then she had a bunch of ear piercings.
Nose.
The ears and the nose.
Yeah.
My husband went with her to get the ear piercings and the cornrows the.
Why specifically do you support and go to it? Because you're seeing that by doing that type of stuff, you have a kid that's normal, a kid that's pretty much normal, basically normal behavior, not cutting themselves, they're getting an ear piercing, and not threatening people and not threatening harm against their parents or their siblings. You have a kid that's normal.
No, she's acting right. She's acting
basically normal. She's going to school. She
appreciates your support that you came with her.
Yeah, 100%. If you want the kid to really know that you have their back, you have to really be involved in their life and have their back. Why would a parent basically be willing to do things that go against what they want their kid to be doing, or whatever it may be? So the reason being, basically, why are you taking your kid to get to to go to a hair salon that's in the wrong part of town because they want a certain hairstyle that they can only do there, or why are you taking your daughter to a place that's going to put piercings in the cartilage of the ear or whatever it is, or nose piercings and things like that. So like stuff that you don't want your kid to do. The reason being because you go from the kid cutting themselves and harming themselves, self-harm, to them basically not doing that. You go from a kid that you think you're headed for a psych ward, and thousands of dollars in treatment that probably would take years and years and years and may or may not be successful anyway, and you're doing this.
So you're accepting your child, and you're taking them to do the things that they want to do. It's better than cutting.
A $25 certain hairstyle or whatever it may be. The money is very, very minimal at that point. As far as it's some of it's hashkafic stuff. Like can you really adjust to the idea that your daughter is going to have these things that you don't approve of or whatever it may be? So why would you do that? Because you see the results that you're getting a normal person.
It also shows your acceptance of her.
Yeah.
Like, this is what she wants. Okay. You want a piercing in your nose? Okay, we're going to take you. The purpose of the acceptance is the medication. That's what, instead of all the drugs that she might get at a psych ward, she now has the love and acceptance of her parents and the rest of her family.
She really was responsible.
We trusted her with the kids. I let her take the little kids out. She drove her siblings to different places. She took them on errands. She was she was responsible.
Yeah. You felt.
Once you was a normal, responsible.
She was a normal, responsible person.
She held a job.
She basically
went to school.
She pretty much was basically what we were asking for from the therapist. When I said to the therapist, all I want is the kid to be a normal, functioning member of society. If she doesn't ever want to speak to me again, this is what we said pre-TP. I'm sitting there paying out of pocket, right?
Yeah, we paid out of pocket.
It wasn't covered at all by insurance. You're paying out of pocket hundreds of dollars in therapy sessions. And I'm saying to this therapist, I really don't care if the choice is having this kid having some kind of relationship with me, but being a dysfunctional member of society that we're going to be visiting in jail or something, because that's where I see this is headed. I don't see how you're not headed for jail if you're doing stuff like that was already 15, going on at 15. And where does it? It's only escalating. It's not getting any better. So you have a kid that's cutting themselves. You have a kid that's threatening people. You have a kid that's
at the park,
that's at the park and all hours of the night, whatever kind of stuff going on. And then, so at the time I was asking that therapist, look, when you agreed, we were on the same page. We said, we don't, even if this kid has no relationship with us, but they could just be a normal, law-abiding, functioning member of society, has a job, whatever, grows up and does her thing. She doesn't want to have a relationship with her parents. Okay, so be it. That's life, But that's what we were asking for. And not that you really want that, but that's what you're kind of thinking.
Right. And she did say, to her credit, she said, but she needs that relationship with her parents.
The therapist said it, but we didn't know how to get there.
But we didn't understand
We didn't know how to get there. So basically,
she didn't help us to get there.
Later you end up with a normal kid. A normal kid, basically going to school every day, no problem.
Yeah, she always went to school, I have to say.
Going to after TV. No, yeah. So basically, going to school, then graduating, then going to college.
She graduated, yeah.
And going every day to college, not not flaky, just basically going to college, whatever. Not the greatest student.
No.
But he wasn't the greatest student, but basically,
but she was
going through, being responsible, going every day to school.
She had a job also in the summer. She's had a job.
Yeah, she was working a lot of jobs and stuff.
She babysat and she worked at a store, local store.
And
in summer.
So so you end up with, we basically got to a point where we have a child that is what we wanted, and we have a relationship with her.
Right.
So you have a normal kid,
and that was the medicine, the relationship.
You have a normal kid, and you have a relationship, right. and the medicine was basically
a relationship.
That relationship.
And that was really like a nice bonding experience. The first time I flew in 21 years, I got on a plane, and we went to Louisiana, and it was great. And she went. She wanted to go somewhere where there was water. She wanted to go parasailing, and we took her parasailing, and she really was happy. She really, it was a great It was a great experience, really, for both of you, both of the people that went parasailing, and then they also went on a trip to Florida. That was nice.
I forgot about the alcohol. Remember, before, basically, I had to take all the alcohol out of the house at one point.
Yeah.
Because of, usually 15-year-old girls aren't supposed to be drinking a lot of alcohol, and she was. And I remember pouring a bunch of it down the sink and stuff to make a statement. I have a message that I had sent to an email or a text, whatever it was at the time, that I sent to Avi. Once we had started TP and once we were getting into it, and in the message I basically had said to him, it's hard. It's still hard for me not to not get concerned to allow my kip to have access to alcohol with other kips or other kids that are around. On the topic of alcohol, I should mention it's amazing that a few months ago I literally was dumping alcohol down the toilet in frustration with her. I remember a big bottle of Smirnoff that I poured down, and whiskey and things. And then I removed all the alcohol from the house because I was afraid that she was going to drink it. Now there's no problem to have alcohol in the house. She never takes anything without permission. There's a bottle of vodka that's berry-flavored Smirnoff that I bought maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and she barely touches it. Maybe a month ago, she used some of it to make some Peniala vodka. So, yeah, that was a big change. Big change. This was basically a sent to Avi a WhatsApp update at one point after. This is the first Seders we have once we're involved with TP. And it was, so I said, remembering this previous Seder less than a year earlier, basically a year earlier, not less than a year earlier, the Seder a year earlier with tables being turned over and lights being turned out and complete chaos. This message basically got Avi an update. Thank you, Avi. Our kip was at both Seders. She was involved. She was in a good mood. It is a huge difference from last year. On Pesach in Lubavitch, we are over the top with chumras at times. One example is that if we drop a utensil on the floor, instead of just washing it, we set it aside until the following year. So the kip tells me during the meal that she was in the Pesach kitchen. Remember, last year we had locked the door of the Pesach kitchen and she wasn't allowed in there because we were afraid what she would do. And that she had dropped a plastic fork, and she assumes that we don't want to use them, so she's just letting me know where she put the plastic forks, so we could either throw it out or save it for next year if we want. So the level of respect, from Dina at that point was night
because
and day.
We respected her.
We respected her, she respected us. It's accepting, it's respecting, it's.
Just having a relationship.
But I also think a lot of it is about the kid knowing that the parents have their back. You know what I mean? Basically knowing that when they're in the principal's office because they're getting in trouble with something when you're in TP. Yeah. That it's not what a difference it's a call to the parents of Dina, I'm got your back. Okay, I mean, that's it. I'm on your side. There's no question about it. This is 100%.
Third or fourth Pesach when we had the speed Seder, which I loved. And so our older daughter got a little tipsy because when you have a Seder in a half an hour, she drank too much wine. So we finished the Seder, went to sleep, and the kids, so Dina and the 2 older kids were laughing, and Dina videoed it. So we see them, they're laughing and they're having a good time and they're joking with each other. They had a relationship with each other, you know? Nice, yeah. They really, they had a relationship when they were growing up because they're all very close in age, the first 3 kids, even the first 4 kids. And then it gave them their relationship back, you know, because it was nice. It was nice to, I mean, I can't say I'm thrilled that she videotaped it, but she did it without their knowledge. And we have the videotape of them laughing, giggling, joking with each other on Pesach because whatever.
I'm reflecting about Yom Kippur. I think it was the second Yom Kippur, I believe, after we were involved with TP for a while, and Dina made it a point to come to shul, early enough so that she would, she'd reach out to me to make sure that, when are you going to be at shul? What time are you going to get there? Because she wanted to make sure that I was going to be there so I can give her a bracha before, we do with the children. So we met up in shul. I did that. For me, it was very. I felt very emotional, very. Made my Yom Kippur. Let's say, right? Like here, just that would have been enough. That would have been enough. Like basically, you're not expecting a kid like this to fast necessarily. They're a kid. You're kind of assuming that they probably won't. But then you come to find out that Dina. Then you hear from the Rebbitzin that so nice. I saw Dina sitting in shul saying Tehillim on the ladies' side, and it's like wow. And then they find out that she fasted and that she. Not only did she fast, she didn't smoke. Not only did she not smoke, she didn't use a jewel or whatever. Not only she did like all that kind of stuff. And Dina normally would have if she was pretty didn't like to walk unnecessarily. So if she needed to go a few blocks away, to take an Uber, right? But basically, she walked like a mile and a half to a friend's house or whatever because it was Yom Kippur. So. She kept Yom Kippur, no question about it. She kept Yom Kippur, and that was huge. That was tremendously. Who knows what that accomplished? Who knows what that accomplished as far as a soul can come down for 70 years just to do a favor for someone, they say, but basically for me it was a favor, because I got to see it. Huge tshuva mehava. So tshuva, it's like huge. From the love that she was receiving, it was helping her to do tshuva in a way, yeah, for sure. It was it was.
This actually is a necklace that we got her. It was on the ladies' chat about these necklaces, and there was always good ideas, and it was a nice idea, and she wore it a lot. It says "Mami Tati Dina Leah," and with rings around each other, and it was special. And we got her other things, but certain things were just more, she wore it. Right, it wasn't perfect, and we weren't perfect, and she wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect all the time, and it wasn't perfect, but it was. But compared to where it was amazing.
I wanted to read an update that I'd sent to Avi in June of 2018. It's amazing to read it actually because it brings back how happy you were and how the progress we were seeing. Basically, it was hello Avi. TP has been amazing, learning and has been an amazing learning and growing experience. Baruch Hashem, 1 year in plus, and we have seen some great results. But one who has 100 wants 200, and one who has 200 wants 400. So basically, although our progress is in some ways miraculous, we want more. A year plus ago, we went from having a house that was being turned upside down and we were going out of our minds. A year plus ago, we had a daughter getting kicked out of school. A year ago, we had fighting, screaming, cursing with words that would make a sailor blush. A year ago, we had, a year and a half ago, whatever it was, before TP, we had visits to the psych ward at the hospital. A year ago, we had been to various therapists. A year ago, we had rules, we had agreements, we had contracts, and they were all broken. A year plus ago, we had us taking away and breaking cell phones. A year plus ago, we had me driving around at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning trying to find my daughter. But that was all pre-TP, or BA, before Avi. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we have a normal, peaceful, and quiet home. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we had no cursing. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we have no fighting. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we have no arguments. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we have a daughter that uses words like please and thank you. Baruch Hashem, a year later, a daughter that's graduating high school a year early. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we have a daughter who feels totally comfortable in her home. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we have a daughter who brings her friends around. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we have a daughter starting college in the fall. Baruch Hashem, a year later, we try to focus on the positive. I encourage new TP parents to focus on TP like it's the most important thing in the world, because your kids are the most important thing in the world, and TP may be the only thing that can save them. Keep in mind, it usually is not possible for people that have not gone through the training, the weekly groups, and the manual to understand what you're doing. Be careful about telling people more info than is needed. What I mean is that you don't need to talk about what you do for your child with family or friends. It really is not relevant to them. They usually will not get it. They won't understand it. It's like a new Baal Tshuva telling the not yet from family or friends about certain things in Yiddishkeit when it can have the complete opposite effect of what they're trying to accomplish. Also, I have to add, and I'm in awe of TP parents and what they do for their kids. May you all have more success and nachas from all of your children than you ever thought possible.
Actually, I remember before TP, she would say, "I'm out of here when I turn 18. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm out of here." And we started TP when she was 16. By the time she turned 18, she was like, "I'm staying."
I'm never leaving.
She's like, I have, her room was set up. She had everything she wanted, and she knew it was like a very comfortable place, and she was happy, more or less happy to be there, and she was happy to stay there and not run off. So that was good. That was a big difference.
Things were going well, and things were going well, not perfect but well, and basically at a certain point, Dina had gone upstate New York with a friend, and unfortunately, she was in a car accident that ended up being fatal. It's the hardest thing for a parent to probably ever deal with, I would say. It's, the only thing that, well, not the only, I don't know if it's the only thing, but probably one of the only things that keeps me grounded on this issue is basically a story of the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe that it was with other Hasidim from various mindsets, and they were going around speaking about if they were God, how they would run the world. And so various people would say things like, probably the average person like me would say, if I was God, children wouldn't get sick. If I was God, nobody would ever die. If I was God, no child would ever die. If I was God, the Jews would have everything perfect, whatever it would be. And the Alter Rebbe at the time said to them, if I was God, I wouldn't change anything, because I would have like the global picture to kind of understand what God's doing. God knows what He's doing. Obviously God's our Father. He knows He's got it. Just like we need to have our kids' backs, God has our backs. It's just we don't always see it sometimes. We don't always feel it sometimes, maybe, but we have to always remember it. So that personally, that keeps me like grounded as far as what happened. But I would say that the important takeaways the important things for me to reflect about, or for parents to reflect about, the important things for people to reflect about would be, I can only imagine, like, if Dina was going to live 19 years, and this was the time that was going to be allotted, because this is decided when a neshama comes down from Shemayim, the time is a lot. Is a certain amount of time is going to be given, and that's going to be the person's life, and we don't know what that time is going to be, right? So, if it was going to be 19 years, we could have been in a very different place. We could have been in a situation where Dina could have been completely estranged from us. That's where we were headed. I mean, basically, she could have been. It's not likely we would have had a good relationship any other way possible, right. And that's why, basically we have tremendous akaras hatov for TP, for Avi, yes. Because of what. So we had a relationship. We had a relationship with our daughter. And we wouldn't have. We had a good relationship.
We probably wouldn't.
We had a good relationship, a decent relationship, a loving relationship. She knew we loved her.
And we did what we could. We weren't perfect.
And she loved us. And basically, we weren't perfect, but we came a long way. Having to get a knock at the door, like the classic, thing, knock at the door from the police, to tell the parents that the hospital's trying to reach you, whatever it is, and having to then drive because there were no flights available to Buffalo and Motzi Shabbos that time. Having to drive however many hours, was it like 7 or 8 hours, and Dina basically hanging on for that whole time. Us getting there, and then having to be being in a room, as your child, as your daughter's passes away, basically, and then is resuscitated, and then passes away, and then is resuscitated, and again, more than once, is hard. It's not, no question about it, it's hard, but I think that the alternative, as far as we believe in Hashem, we believe that Hashem's running the show, and if we believe that and we know that, then the time was going to be what the time was going to be, and so knowing that we need to I'm very appreciative that we had the good relationship that we did.
Yeah. Really, it turns out we thought we were doing this for Dina. In a way, we really did it for ourselves, because all the gifts and all the videos, which I took more because of her, and all the time bombs, and they turned out to really be for us. We were giving to her, but really that's what we have. Those are our memories that we have of the parasailing and the crocodiles and going to great adventure.
You never know, right? Yeah, sorry.
No, I just, and the kids too, the older kids too, they did things with her. We would have all been estranged from her. It would have been a totally different story without DP. If she was going to be here 19 years, like my husband said, thank God for TP that we had that relationship. The relationship was everything. And that's what TP is about. It's about that relationship, about that connection with your child and accepting them for who he or she is. So we're glad that we did that. I think we would have had a lot more regrets. I mean, you always have some regrets, but we would have had a lot more regrets had we not had that relationship with her.
Yeah. And it's important, basically, you never know. I guess anybody in your life, you never know how when somebody's time is.
It's never over. I said, as long as she's alive, it's never over. And I didn't know that she was going to die a few months later, but it was true. As long as your kip is alive, it is not over. There's always, if they're not doing well, so they can do well next week. There's always hope, and for a better tomorrow. Always, as long as that person is alive, always hope. There's always hope. As long as that kid's alive, it's not over. It just, even if they intermarry, even if they this, even if they that, even if they're gay, even if whatever it is, it's just never over as long as they're alive. I mean that. Like, I really meant it when I said it to my kids, and I mean it. It's not over, because they still need you. Even if this, and this, they still need that relationship, no matter what's going on. And they're still your child. And I told that to my kids, and they got it at the time. And they had, and like I said, they had a decent relationship with her, even though, sometimes it could be volatile here and there, but overall it was good. And it was really due to TP, otherwise it wouldn't have been.
It's important for any parent to know you never know how long a child, everyone should live to 120, 150, 180, we say these days, but basically, you never really know.
Right, that's for any child. Enjoy your.
So you need to, like, when things are not always so easy, you need to remember, like, it's that important. It's so important to do everything you possibly can do. To have that relationship, and to like to push yourself to do more and to push yourself to do what don't get complacent and don't that if I have any regrets, I would be that I would say like it's that we didn't do more. We should have taken another trip. We should have done this. Should have done that. Whatever it is, it's you got to make the most of every of the time we have with everyone in our lives. So make the time, right? Go on that vacation.
So Dina was always the sweetest kid growing up. Just like Avi says, like they're always the smartest, the sweetest. Dina was the sweetest. She had the sweetest smile. She smiled at everyone. Yeah. And she was very sensitive also. She was just so sweet. And then all of a sudden, like
14,
she was this, I guess I just thought it was a teenage thing. Like she was this 14-year-old, what seemed crazy to us, all these things going on. And we just, and then just everything escalated, and then TP made us realize, like, no, she's not crazy. She just is in pain, and she needs TP. She needs our acceptance and our love, and then we saw sweet Dina again.
We got back. You got her back.
We got her back. We got our sweet Dina back for a little while. Yeah. I am on a group of mothers who lost children, and there are people that were estranged from their children, and they lost them, and it is a harder situation to be in, to not have had a relationship or to have been estranged. I'm very grateful for TP that we had a relationship with Dina, that we were able to really accept her for who she was, and I'm really, especially because she passed away at 19, I'm really happy that we. I don't know if happy is the right word, but I'm grateful that we have that we had that relationship with her. Everyone has regrets, but I have very little regrets because that I think we did the best that we could with the knowledge we had, and thank God that we found TP, because it would have been a different story otherwise.
The more that we work on ourselves, the more that we can hope to see good results and positive improvements in the kids.
I had such a good picture of my kids with her, because they're taking selfies. She's totally not sneeze. My boys with their yarmulkes and tzitzits and white shirts, they're all, hanging out with her. I think I think that's me. It's so nice. My son said to me once, my two daughters saw him in Crown Heights, and they on the streets, and he's in yeshiva there. And I said, "Aren't you embarrassed? Like, aren't you embarrassed that they're like Dina's sitting there, like she's not sneezing?" He's like, "I'm not doing anything wrong. It's my sister. Why should I be embarrassed?" Like it was really like TP helped him so much. He was a head counselor last year, and he was so good. Like if a kid was late for davening, like he didn't like give them he did it like in a nice way. Like, "Oh, it's time for davening." Like he never he wasn't harsh. Like I think that they came from the whole TP thing, and about not trying not to give kids from trauma, like, "Okay, you should really come daven now." Like he was soft spoken about it, and "Okay, so you didn't do daven to tomorrow," or whatever it was, but I really think it was from his TP.
Sometimes like the challenges or the quote unquote negative experiences, like the kid getting kicked out of school, or CPS being called on the family and having to
or sometimes there's a car accident and the kid needs you, and
right, whatever it may be, something where there's something quote unquote negative. Very often those events are where you get the greatest opportunity to improve on the relationship. So specifically I remember like one time when Dina was having a problem with it was pretty early on, very early on after we joined TP, right? So she was basically being kicked out of school because while her parents were embracing the concepts of TP, the school had no idea of the concepts of TP. So basically they were doing normal chinuch. That meant if the kid didn't listen or didn't do something, then they get in trouble. Or if they think that the kid's doing something wrong, they get in bigger trouble. So, that's an opportunity where when the school's kicking the kid out and you're taking their side in the fight, instead of saying like what I normally always would have said before, which is, the anhala is, they're on holla, that's it. They're right. You always support the principal's right, the teacher's right. That's it. Like even if they're wrong, they're right. But that you have an opportunity when your child is in not a good spot to shine and to come
That's
through.
when they see that.
That's when they really see. That's when they really get to see that they have your back, and that's huge. That's you don't want those challenges necessarily, but when they happen, because they will happen, unfortunately, when you have those challenges, thank God she was never arrested. But I'm saying a kid getting arrested or a kid having a problem, whatever the problem may be, that's when you get the real opportunity.
Right, it's true.
Right. If somebody out there wants to do something, l'zecher, my daughter, for her, basically, when you see a kid, any Jewish kid that you see struggling, you know the signs, you know what they look like, whatever it may be. Give the kid a smile. If it's appropriate, give the kid a hug. A kind word. Don't look the other way. Don't think like, oh, they don't see me, I don't have to talk to them, I could ignore them. Be, it doesn't have to take a lot. It doesn't have to be that you're turning the world over for the kid, but basically, that would be nice. But basically, anything that you can do to have a kind word or a kind outlook to the child, to this kid, or whoever they are, teenager, young adult, because well, that's what I'm asking you. You're asking if you want to do something for my daughter, that's what you could do. But it's also you're actually doing something for yourself. You really we have no idea of the impact that we're having to tip the scales and bring Mashiach. So if someone wants to do something that's for Dina Leah Bas Menachem Mendel, that's her name. Basically that would be it. For all the parents that are struggling with the kids and dealing with all the challenges that comes with,
you see that it's escalating,
and you see it's escalating sometimes, and you see it's going in the wrong direction sometimes. So
it's time to get to TP.
You have to really love the kid. You have to really, and you have to find out what it means to love that kid, right, and how to love that kid. It may not be what it
might not be conventional, but it works.
Yes. When the going is getting tougher, or any time, is the time to basically step it up, love the kid more, hug the kid more, kiss the kid more. You never know. Chas v'shalom, God forbid, no one should ever deal with what we have to deal with. No one ever should have to deal with this again. But if it helps you to give you the push to do something, to go out of your regular Dalet Amas or whatever, to do something that you're not, it doesn't come so easy sometimes, because it doesn't come so easy sometimes for us, or it didn't come so easy sometimes for us. Push yourself, give that kid that hug, give that kid that kiss, because, like I said, Chas v'shalom, nobody should ever deal with this again. But it could be that it's possible. So, yeah.
Just nobody knows how much time they have, so make the most of it in a positive way.
Yes.
As long as that kid's alive, it's not over. It's just, even if they intermarry, even if they this, even if they that, even if they're gay, even if whatever it is, it's just never over as long as they're alive. I mean that. I really meant it when I said it to my kids. I mean it. It's not over, because they still need you. Even if this, and this, they still need that relationship, no matter what's going on. And they're still your child. I give a bracha to all the TP parents that they should be successful with their TP, with their accepting of their child. They should see the most amazing things from their children, and all the all the pain should be released, and they should become who they really are underneath it all. And really, we should just see Mashiach like right away, so we don't have to go through this anymore.
We give a bracha for Avi to hopefully
retire.
Avi will be out of business soon because
Amen.
Because things are going to get so good for everybody. But like really the strength to keep doing what you do and to
Keep helping people.
help people.
It's really a game changer.
And